Hello everyone. I would like to welcome all of you to our online video series called Insights. And I am Prashant Jha, the host of this interview. I am Prashant, International Business Development Manager, WorldRef India, and with me, my colleague, Mr. Kirtiman.
Yes, please.
We are launching this series where we invite the expert of various industries to share their views about the current industry scenario and trends and get to know the insights of their domain from their point of view. And certainly for this reasons, we have our first guest today on Winside interview series. He is the former general manager of the most prestigious organization of Indian power industry, NTPC Ltd. And he has spent his life of time from 1983 to 2020 and worked on several projects during his tenure. And we would like to welcome Mr. Sushil Kumar Sharma with us today. Hello, sir.
Yes, thank you.
And on this platform, we would like him to share their views about various concerned topics in the power industry related to corporate social responsibility, environmental, social and governance sector, also known as ESG, and sustainability. I hope we are getting a good session ahead. And I would like to start with my first question, sir. So we would like to have a brief introduction about your journey. And if you look back to your career, you have spent a big time in the energy domain of this country with the most prestigious organization of India named as NTPC. So how do you summarize this period of time?
In fact, I have been in NTPC since beginning of my career in 1983 October till September 2020. So it's perfect 7 years. Before joining NTPC, I graduated from Government Engineering College, Jabalpur, and then immediately on graduation, I have joined Bhabha Atomic Research Center. I was there only for 1 month, resigned, joined NTPC. There is a story behind it, but because of time limitation, let us straightway let me proceed my career in NTPC. Completion of training, which I was placed at Tuticorin in Naveli in Tamil Nadu, which are now known as NPTI.
Yes.
1 year completion of training, then I was placed at Rihan Super Thermal Power Project, 200 megawatt. And the specialty about Rihan is that it is the first station of NTPC which started construction with 500 megawatt units. Another specialty of Rihan is that this station was with the full financing from government of UK. So excluding the sand, cement and bricks, 100% of the project is imported cargo and is so beautiful that the stations which are even getting constructed today, there is stage 1 at all. So I enjoyed my period of 11 years at Rihan. And Rihan projects do have some unique features. There are 7 uniqueness to Rihan project. It begins with Rihan was the first station to lay 132 kV underground cable. Underground tunnels were constructed for connecting reservoirs directly with a CW pump 4-way. Dedicated reservoir was constructed for a fire system. And the first row, what we say the front of our station, first time in India with a cladded seating. Overall structure of Rihan stage 1 is a bolted superstructure. So least requirement of welding. And for the first time, the chimney constructed was steel flue chimney. In a single RCC raft, 2 steel flues carrying flue of both the units together. And the most important is, in India, HVDC system was introduced beginning with Rihan project. And Rihan project power evacuation from Rihan to NCR up to the is even today with 500 kV DC system. So these uniqueness and working with the Britishers gave a lot of exposure to international systems, processes, and practices. And in it is a lifetime learning which I keep on even enjoying today. Being at Behand for 11 years, next 11 years I was at NTPC Unchaha. NTPC Unchaha was taken over by NTPC from Uttar Pradesh Rajya Vidyut Utpadan Nigam Limited, and at the time of takeover, station was performing just at 19% PLF. When to take over, NTPC improved its performance in 3 years' time at national level, matching with the national standards, and this station received the Asia's Best Power Station Award year 2006. The improvement activity we see at Unchahar, we are even noticed by our President, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who wrote about NTPC Unchahar in his book, India Vision 2020, more than 2 pages. Next to that, I was transferred from Unchahar to NTPC Janor. NTPC Janor is a gas station in Gujarat with capacity of 657 megawatt. And this station was not performing at all. In fact, if we see gas sector as a whole in India for almost 2 decades, they are performing not even at 30% national average gas stations PLF. Because of our 4C practices and experiences gained in previous stations, in 2 years' time, made Janor as the best performing gas station among NTPC. So NTPC is a great organization. It gives you full freeness and support to take decisions, execute decisions, and move forward. In fact, NTPC gave a lot of opportunities. Lifelong learning became a reality, and I will keep sharing the details during the questions.
Quite interesting journey, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, I would say that a leader like you will always be invited at every place, at every organization to share your thoughts with. Coming back to the topic, sir, I would like to ask you a few questions about these sustainability and climate change. So,
you are welcome.
As you can see that there are a lot of changes and impacts are happening because of the culture, which is happening because of these big industries, and big climate change are happening because of that. So my question is, are big businesses or industries who are major contributor to the big issues such as climate change, sustainability and social responsibility plaguing the entire globe, doing enough to tackle them? And what can be done to actually, what more can be done in this manner so that we can actually stop or actually lower down the impact of these things?
It's a timely and very thoughtful question. And let me respond to it by saying global warming is approaching to its ultimate stage. Right. And implications caused by climate change are seriously affecting ecosystem globally. CO2 emissions are mainly responsible for global warming. If we look into CO2 emissions, fossil fuel exploration and utilization are major contributors to the tune of 87%, followed by land use changes 9% and industrial processes just 4%. Fossil fuel production, electricity and heat contributes 41%, transportation contributes 22%, industries contribute 20%, residential 6%, and all other miscellaneous activities put together 10%. Over the preceding decade, thermal power generation have grown on an average of 7.5% per year. India is the third largest emitter of greenhouse gases and accounts for 0.46 billion metric ton. NTPC is the second best in the world, emitting only 870 grams of CO2 per kilowatt hour of electricity generated. Out of 638 million tons of CO2 emissions by India, NTPC contribution was 86 million tons. So NTPC being the second best means most efficient world over. Then, as far as CO2 emission is concerned, NTPC carry out its own assessment considering the ESG criteria, and in the process identify which stations are contributing most pollution and producing least energy. So in this process, NTPC have already closed 2 stations. You are sitting in NCR in Noida.
Right.
Side by 2 is Badarpur power station, which is closed now for more than 2 years, and is taken decision to close down it permanently. It will not be operated at all. Instead, its S type, which is more than 800 acres, is being converted in one of the most enriched ecosystem. NTPC is investing 342 crores rupees there, and it will be completed by next year. So the power station is going to be a most enriched, and India's CO2 emission fell for the first time in last year, or rather I will say after 4 decades. And this improvement was partially caused by ongoing pandemic, that is COVID-19. Now, to further improve on the situation, the government keep on consulting NTPC from time to time, and NTPC keeps on sharing its views with Government of India. In the process, 164 coal-based units of various sizes, totaling 14 gigawatt, have already been retired during 2002 to 2020. Additionally, 34 coal-based units are again identified, which are totaling to 5.1 gigawatt, and they are identified for being phased out progressively. So NTPC has taken many initiatives for its CO2 emission intensity, which includes decommissioning, as I have already mentioned, Badarpur and have been done. Now there are many more in the series. More than 8,000 tons of pellets have been fired in the boilers at Dadri plant. This was innovative experimentation NTPC did, and these pellets are converted from crop residue, which is one of the serious issue in NCR, which causes pollution during winter time. And this 8,000 tons of farm residue. Now, solar preheated hot water system, another experiment NTPC has carried out. It is successful, and it will be taken across organization, which helps in optimizing CO2 intensity. Additionally, I must mention that NTPC has awarded 50 gigawatt capacity for installation of FGD systems, that is flue gas desulfurization systems, for 50 gigawatt capacity have already been awarded, and the work is in progress in different stages. NTPC declared no more greenfield coal projects. That means NTPC will not be starting any new coal projects anywhere. And to pace up renewable energy capacity additions, NTPC has already set up NTPC Renewable Energy Limited, which is 100% ownership with NTPC, and also doubled its renewable energy capacity target from 30 gigawatt to 60 gigawatt, and it will be realized by 2032. NTPC Renewable Energy Limited received the go-ahead from MNRE to build the, not only India, the world largest solar station of 4750 megawatt at Kawada in Kutch region of Gujarat. United Nations has declared 2021-2030 as the decade for ecosystem restoration. All the organizations, irrespective of ownership, should come forward and ask the government to set up ecosystem restoration authority, and voluntary all such organizations contribute, say 3% of their respective annual profits for investment in ecosystem restoration across the country at appropriate location. I feel your question is well covered.
Yes, sir. It is well covered.
Yes,
and
sir.
I think my next question has also been covered. You have mentioned so many case studies in your second answer, and I would like to come back with my fourth question. And in this, I would like to talk about when we talk about sustainability and CSR, and according to the companies law and companies act by Indian government, they mandate this CSR for like big corporation and medium-sized corporations. So my question to you is sustainability and CSR domains only for big corporations, or smaller companies can also contribute to it? And if they want to contribute, what is your ideas about those companies?
Let me begin to say sustainability focuses on businesses overall 360 as a whole, right, whereas CSR targets opinion makers and aims at compliances. Sustainability and CSR domain as of now are increasingly gaining attention of governments world over, including India, and top management teams of business organizations. Securities and Exchange Board of India has recently issued a notification on 5th May 2021, amending certain provisions of the SEBI listing obligation and disclosure requirements regulation 2015. Among amendments introduced, the important one relates to discontinuation of the requirement of submitting business responsibility report by companies beginning financial year 21-22. Instead, listed top 1,000 companies are to mandatorily now file such reports, whereas for others, including MSMEs, it is optional. As per the present guidelines, companies would be required to submit report on ESG parameters, and the report is titled Business Responsibility and Sustainability Report. So it's for every organization, including even MSMEs. The provisions are, it is voluntary for financial year 21-22 for top 1,000 listed companies by market capitalization, but from financial year 22-23, it is made mandatory. And voluntary for other companies, listed companies other than top 1,000 companies, which have listed their specified securities on the Small and Medium Enterprises Exchange, may voluntarily submit business responsibility and sustainability report in place of business responsibility report with effect from FY 21-22. So it very clearly brings out that all organizations, irrespective of their shape, size, location, everyone must now become very proactive as far as sustainability issues are concerned. And ESG, in fact, is gaining very strong grounds in India. SEBI, through a notification dated 10th May 2021, has prescribed the format of new reports which elaborates ESG parameters in BRSR framework.
I think you have cleared us very much. Moving on, I would like to ask few questions about this environmental disaster. As since industrialization happened, there has been an increase in environmental disaster, and recently we can see it is going much farther in terms of scale, be it fires across forest, or you can say in America or Asia, or flooding or rising sea level. It seems we have reached to a point where we can't go back and return from that. So can you share your view about on this?
Certainly. You are very precise and perfect in bringing out this question. It's very timely. And let me begin by saying CO2 concentration level reached historical high of 414 ppm and increased by 4 ppm or 1% during the previous year.
Wow.
Concentration is still on increase. Atmospheric CO2 was at such level, it predicted then before 3 million years ago, when temperature was 2 to 3 degrees centigrade higher than during the pre-industrial area. Nowadays, it is 1.2 degree higher than pre-industrial area. and sea level was 15 to 25 meters higher than what sea level is today. Now, carbon dioxide concentration are rising mostly because of the fossil fuels that people are burning for energy. Fossil fuels like coal and oil contains carbon that plants pull out of the atmosphere through photosynthesis over the span of many millions of years. We are returning that carbon to the atmosphere in just a few hundred years. So that's the reason why we are experiencing climate change, global warming, flooding, fires, and all. The current official highest registered air temperature on Earth is 56.7 degrees centigrade, which was recorded in July 1913 in Death Valley in the United States. The second and third hottest places recorded are in Libya and in Kuwait. Sea level rise is recorded 3.4 millimeter per year during previous 25 years. During the year 2019, there were $14 billion weather and climate exchange disasters. 3 of them were floods along the Mississippi, Missouri, and Arkansas rivers. Approximately 14 million people were impacted by flooding this year, while 200 million were at risk. These are the serious impacts of climate changes and global warming. Right. The great global warming paused. That means the temperature rise which was continuing, it paused during 1997 to 2014. Average global surface temperature during this period remained stalled. That means there was no substantial change in temperature. A pause broke during the year 1516, as we know all, Super El Nino, the strongest such event recorded in history, which made 2015 and 2016 the warmest years. However, 2017 witnessed the biggest drop in global temperature once again, bringing temperatures back in line with 1997-2014 averages, rendering the pause alive and well today. That means we have not yet reached to the worst situation. There are cyclic variations and we are now on positive side. In 2018, there were 58,083 wildfires. You have referred about fires. About 4.7 million acre forests were burned in 2019. 8.8 million acres burned in 2018 and 10 million burned in 2017. So that means this is also on reducing pattern. Floods are the most frequent type of natural disasters. Right. Between 1998 to 2017, floods affected more than 2 billion people worldwide. About 1.47 billion people, or 19% of the world population, are directly exposed to inundation depth of over 0.15 meters. One of the most flood and climate change affected country in the world is Bangladesh. Bangladesh is one of the most flood-prone country in the world. Floods had huge cost for this, both in terms of lives, property, livelihood, and development gains, which are lost. Am I okay?
Yes, sir. Coming to my sixth question, and I would like to carry your concentration towards the ESG now. And sure. when we think and act on ESG in a proactive way, this has lately become even more pressing, and ESG-oriented investment has experienced a meteoric rise, and global sustainable investment now tops $30 trillion according to the data. So how you see this? What is your thoughts? What are your thoughts about the same topic?
Great. It's a fact that world over there is a focus and priority on ESG. So let me begin by saying ESG compliance enhances the company's credibility and reputation several folds, and such company is sure to attract investors due to their sustainability.
Right.
ESG funds allocates mostly in shares and bonds of companies who gets good scores or ranks in ESG evaluation, that is environmental performance, social performance, and governance performance. ESG rated companies have global significance as 1/3 of the total US 23 trillion assets under management around the globe to socially responsible investment. So you have referred overall global of 30, out of that 23 trillion is from USA itself. Blue bonds, which basically aims to invest in oceanic protection projects, green bonds, which fund energy efficient development projects, and ESG themes ETF, that is exchange traded funds, which aims to invest on environmental impact bonds, are launched in recent years world over. The demand and growth for ESG fund in Asia, especially in India, being overwhelming at 32%. In India, people are becoming more interested in sustainability due to several reasons. Factors such as regulatory requirements have played a significant role in pushing the companies to be ESG compliant. Another factor influencing the companies to be ESG compliant is the interest of foreign investors. Foreign investors are becoming more interested in those companies that are sustainable and ESG compliant. With regulators becoming more stringent, the steps that a company must take to be ESG compliant is going to get more robust in the days to come. The regulators are going to be tough on those organizations that are not following the regulations and is sure to impose penalties on such defaulters. A significant advantage that an ESG compliant company gets is that they will be on the safer side when the regulators come up with even more stringent rules. Each company would be in a comfortable position as they have to take a few measures, meet the requirement, then the non-compliant ones who have to start from beginning. Also, the scope for the ESG compliant companies to gain significant market share would be more as their non-compliant competitors would be struggling to comply with the norms. Am I okay?
Yes, sir. Very well. And I also would like to know that from your experience, why should businesses pay attention to this ESG? Does it have a direct impact on the cash flow, or if it is so positive, please explain us to.
Yeah, correct. Any organization that is performing well today and hoping to continue keep growing in future will have to be ESG compliant. Almost there is no second way, no thought at all. ESG parameters reflect on an organization's culture, the risk involved, and management, among other things. Trillions of dollars are flowing into ESG-oriented assets. So it's natural that executives and investors wonder how a company's performance on ESG issues relate to its valuation. ESG factors influences assets' anticipated cash flow, such as by forcing long-term or permanent closure, and therefore alter their net present value. An asset revaluation can result in lower future earnings, a smaller balance sheet, additional operating costs, and a lower company fair value. This background, the advantages of being compliant are it helps in revenue growth. A strong ESG proposition helps companies tap new markets and expand in existing ones. When governing authorities trust corporate actors or management, they are more likely to award them the access, approvals, and licenses that afford fresh opportunities for growth. Cost reduction is the big advantage. ESG can reduce costs substantially by helping companies combat rising operating expenses, such as raw material costs and the true cost of water or carbon, which McKinsey research found can boost operating profits by as much as 60%. it's really hard to separate good ESG performance from good financial performance. Reduced regulatory and legal interventions. A strong performance on ESG can need more strategic freedom while easing regulatory pressures. Value at stake may be higher than you think. For pharmaceuticals and healthcare, the profits at stake are about 25 to 30%. In banking, where provisions on capital requirements too big to fail, regulations and consumer protection are so critical. Value at stake is typically 50 to 60%. For the automotive, space and defense and technical sectors where government subsidies are prevalent, the value at stake can reach up to 60%. Because of ESG and sustainability initiatives, employee productivity improves. A commitment to addressing ESG concerns can help companies attract and retain high-quality employees, enhance employee motivation by instilling a sense of purpose, and increase productivity overall. Employees who report feeling not just satisfied but also connected perform better. Walmart is one of the examples which uses a proprietary scorecard to track the work conditions of its suppliers. Investment and asset optimization is another advantage of implementing ESG. So we can say that in the long term, it do help to improve cash flow and it do have a positive effect on overall financial well-being of an organization.
Very well, sir. And I think the organization will take part more proactively then. Coming back to the core topic, sir, and this is about energy. So in these scenario, in these times, what trends are you seeing in the energy demands of India, our country, and what are the major changes and impact you are seeing because of it?
That's a great and timely question. In fact, if we look into, say, last 5 years, the energy demand or installed capacity in India overall has increased from 305 thousand megawatt to 384 thousand megawatt. If we look into its breakup, there is not much change in thermal. Nuclear almost remained constant. We only changed by 1000 megawatt. It was 5780 megawatt in 2016. Now it is 6780 megawatt. Thermal, it was 210,000 megawatt in March 16. Now it is 234. Just only 24,000 megawatt increase over this period. Whereas, if we come to wind, it increased from 26.7 thousand megawatt to almost 40,000 megawatt. More than that, from 6.7 thousand megawatt to 40,000 megawatt. And overall, if we see renewable energy capacity, it is more than doubled. Whereas, there is not much change in thermal capacity. So it very clearly brings out that India as a whole, carbon intensity is going to see downturn very steep, and India will be at advantage and will lead the world in taking up further initiatives to improve CO2 emissions. If we look into, say, next 20 years, it is anticipated that energy demand will increase on an average of 5% during next 20 years. That means overall energy demand will be double than what is today. And most of the increase in demand is likely to be met through renewable energy sources. So slowly and progressively, the dirty energy, what we say, that means generation from coal, fuel oil or gases, will slowly and progressively will be on reducing trend, which is also reflected by overall PLF trend. If we say in March 16, national of operating coal stations was 62.3%, which reduced to 54.5% till March 21. That means whatsoever capacity there, we are just using 55% of capacity.
Right.
So quite a significant reduction.
Yeah. And we are actually running quite ahead in the race of renewable energy.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Now, there are 2-3 more declarations I will share further.
Okay, sure, sir. My next question is that organizations like NTPC in India, which is a very prestigious organization in terms of our industry, and other corporations like big industries similar to that, what are the key factors that NTPC is actually different from them? What sets NTPC apart? And what are their most distinctive qualities you would like to highlight? What you have experienced during your life?
It's a very useful, timely, and appropriate question. Let me start by saying Indian corporations are quite competitive and quickly adopt to sustainability framework. These corporations are transforming their systems, procedures, processes, etc., aiming improve their ESG ratings. All these corporations have adopted renewable energy targets, including even Coal India. Coal India, who are sole producer of coal, have adopted renewable energy targets. They are also venturing in renewable energy. And these targets are increasingly investing in renewable energy. NTPC has declared no more new coal stations, and to pace up renewable energy capacity additions, have already set up NTPC Renewable Energy Ltd, which is 100% ownership with NTPC at present, and increased its renewable energy target from earlier of 30 gigawatt to 60 gigawatt. NTPC Renewable Energy Ltd gets the go-ahead from Ministry of Renewable Energy to build the 4750 megawatt renewable energy park in Gujarat. NTPC Energy Technology Research Alliance, which is in Noida only, is a leading player in the world energy sector. NTPC recognized the potential of cutting-edge technologies in future, improving its services and efficiency. The company is fully aligned to the needs of adopting emerging technologies and upgrading the technologies through research and development. NTPC is particularly sensitive to research and development and the paradigm shift which it can make. The focus area of NTPC in Netra are efficiency improvement and cost reduction, new and renewable energy, climate change and environmental protection, which includes water conservation, ash utilization, carbon capture and utilization, and waste management. Netra also provides advanced scientific services to its stations and other utilities in the area of non-destructive examination, metallurgy and failure analysis, oil and water chemistry, environment, electrical, computational, fluid dynamics, etc. That means NTPC is proactive in 360-degree assessment of its activities on a continual basis. India is blessed with a coastline of about 7,600 kilometers, surrounded by water on 3 sides, and has good prospects of harnessing offshore wind energy. Considering this, the government had notified the National Offshore Wind Energy Policy. Installed wind capacity as on now is 39 gigawatt. Ministry set a target of 5 gigawatt of offshore wind installation by 2022 and 30 gigawatt by 2030. The wind resources assessment is carried out, and it have worked out that India have got potential of 302 gigawatt of offshore wind energy alone. And there are prominent 7 states beginning with Gujarat. That's a region. NTPC in partnership with ONGC is ready to take up thousands megawatt offshore wind farm in Gujarat. Almost things are ready. Anytime it may be notified. All clearances are available.
NTPC is doing a lot of work in India to give it a rise in a positive manner. And sir, coming back to the same topic again, this energy, how do you see in the coming years India is changing? What significant change you are going to highlight? And what are the most important changes that will happen across the whole country? And how this big corporation is going to help us with that?
Okay. India is the world's third largest producer and third consumer of electricity. National electric grid in India has an installed capacity of 384 gigawatt as of May 21. Renewable power plants, which also include large hydroelectric plants, constitute 37% of this capacity. India is fast pacing its green energy portfolio, aiming on reducing dependence on dirty coal and iron. Floating solar systems, offshore wind farms, hydrogen power transportation, e-mobility, grid-connected battery storage systems, and peaking hydro stations are various schemes on which work is in different stages. Gross electricity consumption in financial year 2019 was 1208 kilowatt hour per capita, which is substantially less than world average. India has a surplus power generation capacity as is reflected by PLF being in the range of 55%. India's electricity sector is dominated by fossil fuels, in particular coal, which during the fiscal year produced about 3/4 of the country's electricity. The government is making efforts to increase investment in renewable energy. The government's National Electricity Plan states that the country does not need more non-renewable power plants, that means coal-based plants, in the utility sector. With the commissioning of 50,025 megawatt coal-based power plants under construction and addition of 275,000 megawatt of renewable energy, Indian power sector will be meeting its requirement efficiently and effectively. It is expected that non-fossil fuel generation contribution is likely to be around 50% of the total gross electricity generation by the year 2030. So India is well prepared to address its energy requirements by increased generation from renewable sources, which will be coming from existing wind stations, offshore wind stations, the exponential growth of solar systems, and all.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for educating us about the coming future of India. And we are feeling very positive about this after your answer. And with this, I have no questions left to ask you now. And I would like to introduce my company to you, being WorldRef. We are Asia's biggest B2B globalization and industrial sourcing platform. And also, we are a group of engineers who are from the power sectors, majorly from the power sector. And one of our director is a NPTI alumni also, and we all are also the NPTI alumni. And this idea comes from that if you have a business in India and you want to actually go beyond your borders, go beyond your country's border, so WorldRef comes into the picture and help you with each and every services which you require to let you enter in the global business value chain. And we also do this by bridging the gaps between international businesses, culture, languages, and most importantly, people beyond the border. And in the coming years, our vision is to make globalization simplified and accessible to everybody across the globe. So with this, I would like to request Mr. Kirtiman to present their views about this.
Sir, first of all, thank you so much for your important time. And it is actually our pleasure. We are a lean team and we are a startup organization. It's been, I think, 3 years for us in this operations. Gradually, organically, we are putting the step forwards towards the target of globalization, making it more and more effective and more efficient and more easier for our users. There are a lot of industries here in India, China, Southeast Asia, Latin America, then Europe. Many times the buyers fall short of options. Even many times when European companies come to India or Indian companies go to Vietnam or Vietnamese company go to Indonesia for any execution, they actually feel very much suffocated due to the dearth of options. There are opportunities of business, but how do they actually execute? Because it's a complete new territory. So taking the key basic concept from there, we help such organizations by providing all our services. We have got more than 60-70 services on board, and we cover more than 60 industries, and we also cover for the sourcing of the products for these industries, maybe more than 15 to 20,000 products.
Good.
Power is very key niche for us because most of us are power engineers.
Right.
So I think this was a very good session. Our users are going to get benefited out of it, and in a very short time, you have presented the complete picture on the how this sustainability issue is taking up a buzz among the corporations, in the governments, and especially how India is tackling the issue with regards to sustainability, right? And in power, especially the big corporations like in NTPC, they are playing a very major role, and they have to. There is no other choice because what seniors will do, juniors will follow.
Right.
That's
So
correct.
the companies like NTPC, they have to set the standards, they have to set the examples, right examples and right standards. It will make a lot of things easier for the government and of course for our country. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It is our pleasure.